It's time for the 5-Minute Brand. Quick and dirty tips for creating a killer personal brand. This is not about logos and designs. This is about telling your story in a way that captures the attention of the people who are already looking for you. This is branding from the inside out. Here's your host, Robyn Sales.
I know I said the last topic, perspective and tone, was my favorite, but actually, this one is my favorite. Defining a clear perspective and tone for your brand and explaining what makes you different can dramatically increase your ability to attract your ideal client. True fact, yes. However, you can up the ante. You can take it a step further. You can elevate the whole thing by adding just a sprinkle, just a pinch, just a smidge of selective polarization to your brand messaging. Selective polarization is going to draw in those ideal clients, but it's also, and more importantly, it's going to repel the people who aren't your ideal clients. It is going to allow those non-ideal clients to self-select out. Robyn, I don't understand. What do you mean? I'm so glad you asked. The language you use will vary depending upon your particular personality and your brand story. But here are some examples, and you've probably seen language that's similar to this. Some of the things that I see and use most often are, if you're like me, it drives you crazy when people don't use their blinker when they're merging on the highway. If you're like me, you're frustrated with the state of today's marketing. If you're like me, you hate having to wash your hair more than once a week. I don't care what it is, but if it starts with something like, if you're like me, it tells the people who are your ideal client, the people who are your community, yes, I am like that. That is me. I do think that way. Awesome. It lets them know that they've found their place. But the people who read that language and go, no, that's not me. No, I don't think that's true. No, I don't feel that way. They're going to keep going. They're going to scroll past. And that's what you want them to do, because if they're not your ideal client, you're not going to have a great time working with them. They're not going to become an evangelist for you. It's going to be a waste of your time, ultimately. I'm sorry to break it to you if nobody's told you this yet. You are not for everybody, and you should not be for everybody. If you're trying to be for everybody, you're doing yourself and your business and your brand a disservice. So selective polarization is the language hack, if you will, that's going to signal to the people you are for that they have found the right place. And it's going to signal to the people who aren't your people that they are in the wrong place and they should move along.
Bye, Felicia.
Here's another example. Well, it's the easiest to start with is simply, this is for you. And I'm sure you've seen this on a coaching sales page or a course or seminar or conference type of sales page, where you get to that point where it says, this is for you if bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And sometimes you'll even see, this is not for you if bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. And I love those because they're really willing to lean into the polarization and tell the people who aren't the right fit, nah, dude, move on. This is not the place. So those are some examples of how you can use selective polarizing language. Look, we're not necessarily trying to piss people off, but we're trying to let the wrong people know that this is not the place for them. And we're trying to let the right people know that they have found their community. They have found their place. They have found their solution, their product, whatever it is. Not only will selectively polarizing language repel folks who aren't the best fit for you or your brand, it's going to help increase those emotional bonds for the people who are the right fit, and it will draw them in even faster. Now, quick warning, if you're gonna be polarizing, make sure you keep your word. So if you have a list that says, this is for you if X, Y, and Z, and then in the seminar or in the product or service, you don't deliver X, Y, and Z, not only am I no longer a fan of your brand, like, I'm mad. And we all know what mad clients can do nowadays. So Don't dabble in the world of polarization unless you're really willing to lean into it and keep your word. But if you are willing to experiment with sprinkling in a little polarization into your copy to up the ante and build those bonds and allow people who aren't the right fit to self-select out, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make another list. I want you to list 3 to 5 items that would complete the sentence, "This is for you if." What are those things that the right people, your tribe, your ideal client, what are the 3 things that they need to hear from you that are going to let them know, "Oh, thank God I'm in the right place"? Bonus points if you also want to make a list that is, "This is not for you."
Please hold for a very important message.
The 5-Minute Brand is brought to you by Launching Your Success, not your average training because you're not average. Check out our innovative personal branding programs at launchingyoursuccess.com/brand. Notes from this episode and more can be found at 5minutebrand.com.